According to a new study published this month in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, severe heat is becoming a big issue to fast-growing cities around the world. Extreme heat might damage and kill more people, limit worker productivity, and weaken economies as more people relocate to cities and the climate warms, according to the study. The urban poor are the most vulnerable. Global extreme heat exposure climbed about 200% between 1983 and 2016, according to the study, which looked at over 13,000 locations. This was due to population growth, climate change, and the fact that metropolitan infrastructure absorbs more heat. According to the study, about a quarter of the world's population lives in locations where high heat exposure is increasing. Because some rapidly emerging sections of the world lack trustworthy weather station data, and climate models used to estimate temperatures tend to skim over urban hotspots, researchers have lacked a clear picture of heat's effects. The study takes a unique approach by using satellite data to assess heat around the planet, providing researchers a more global perspective on the issue. Many people traveling to cities in quickly urbanizing areas such as southern Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa are coming to places that are becoming increasingly vulnerable to high temperatures and humidity, according to the report. A separate research on climate change's health implications, released on Wednesday, claims that the problem is worsening and that imbalances between affluent and poor countries are widening. Children and individuals 65 and older have witnessed a consistent increase in exposure to heat waves over the last decade, according to the Lancet Countdown, a yearly evaluation of climate-related health hazards. Over the last 30 years, countries with low and middle levels of development have seen the greatest increases in heat vulnerability, which has been exacerbated by the lack of access to air conditioning and urban green spaces for many of these people. Climate change, according to the research, is creating circumstances favorable to infectious disease pathogens, reversing global advances in food and water security, and increasing wildfire risk. In June, a record heat wave struck the Pacific Northwest of the United States, with temperatures reaching 108 degrees Fahrenheit in Seattle and 116 degrees Fahrenheit in Portland, Oregon. According to scientists, such severe temperatures would have been practically impossible to achieve if not for climate change. Heat has the potential to damage in a variety of ways. If the body's organs lose their ability to control temperature, they might overheat and cause death. Heat can increase symptoms of underlying illnesses such as heart disease, diabetes, and renal. Temperatures, on either hand, are also only one matter of concern. The body is also affected by humidity, sun exposure, and wind. For example, high humidity might limit the body's ability to cool itself through sweat. The authors of the PIS study used satellite thermal imaging data and combined it with readings on the ground to estimate wet bulb globe temperatures and heat index indices for thousands of cities in order to identify trends in heat impacts. The researchers then compared temperature data to population maps to figure out how many people were harmed by the excessive heat. According to the authors, the global population endured roughly 40 billion days in 1983 when wet bulb temperatures reached at least 86 degrees. According to the report, that number nearly tripled to 119 billion in 2016. Population growth was responsible for two-thirds of the change. Climate change and increased heat from urbanization accounted for the rest of the rise. Some past studies of global urban heat have underestimated its impact, according to the researchers, because some places lack accurate weather station observations. According to the study, just 111 out of more than 3,000 cities in India had good data. Climate models commonly employed in this type of analysis tend to downplay extremes and aren't built to assess significant small-scale changes in heat among cities. For example, places with fewer trees and more pavement absorb more heat, resulting in some parts of cities being 10 to 20 degrees hotter than others nearby. The world already has warmed by more than 1 degree Celsius since the 19th century, and it's unequivocal that humans are heating the planet, according to the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change study released in August. As humans continue to burn fossil fuels and warm the Earth, scientists foresee increasingly frequent and extreme heat waves. Some cities are getting ready. The mayor of Seville, Spain, announced this week that heat waves will be named and classified in the same way as hurricanes are.